The most dangerous moment in dating isn't the first kiss, the awkward silence, or even the moment someone ghosts you. It's far subtler and far more destructive. It's the exact second your brain clicks and says, I really like this person. In that single heartbeat, everything changes. Up until that point, you were probably relaxed, playful, maybe even a little indifferent, qualities that made you magnetic. You were enjoying the conversation, sharing stories, teasing, laughing, being your most authentic and attractive self. But the moment genuine liking enters the picture, a switch flips. Without warning, the dynamic shifts from equals having fun to a high-stakes chase. Suddenly, in your mind, they become the prize. They hold the power. They are the scarce resource, and you are the one who must now prove worthy of it. This is the moment we start needing them. Not just wanting them, needing them to like us back, needing their validation, needing the relationship to work out because now our happiness feels tied to their opinion of us. We begin overthinking every text, every glance, every word that comes out of our mouth. We adjust ourselves to fit what we think they want. We hold back jokes in case they fall flat. We play it safe instead of playful. We start performing instead of connecting. And somewhere in that frantic effort to win them, the very spark that drew them to us in the first place, the effortless confidence, the unapologetic self-possession, the sense that we're perfectly fine with or without them vanishes. We hand over our power on a silver platter, and attraction dies quietly in the background, often before the other person can even consciously register why they're suddenly less interested. That single moment of liking someone is when most people unknowingly sabotage everything long before love even has a chance to begin. For the past 2 decades, Matthew Hussey has quietly become one of the most trusted and influential voices in the world of modern relationships. What started as one-on-one coaching sessions in London cafes has grown into a global platform that has reached tens of millions of people through his New York Times best-selling book Love Life, sold-out live events like his annual retreat, viral YouTube videos that regularly surpass 10 million views each, and appearances everywhere from The Today Show to The Drew Barrymore Show. He has coached everyone from single 20-somethings paralyzed by dating apps to high-achieving executives who can run boardrooms but crumble when it comes to love, and even celebrities who, despite fame and fortune, still struggle with the same insecurities the rest of us face. His audience is overwhelmingly people who are already successful in many areas of life yet feel stuck, frustrated, or repeatedly heartbroken in romance. What sets Hussey apart is not gimmicky pickup lines or manipulative tactics, it's the opposite. He teaches radical self-respect, emotional maturity, and the kind of deep confidence that doesn't require pretending to be someone you're not. His core message has always been that real attraction isn't built by chasing or impressing someone, it's built by becoming the kind of person who no longer needs to chase because they know their own worth. Over 20 years he has watched the dating landscape change dramatically. MySpace gave way to Tinder, Tinder gave way to Hinge, and now we're navigating an era of situationships, ghosting, and endless options, yet he noticed one pattern never changes: the moment people hand their power away, attraction dies. The philosophy in this book and in every piece of advice he gives is designed to stop that fatal mistake before it ever happens, helping people attract love by finally refusing to need it in the way that repels it. That is the mission he has dedicated his life to, and the reason millions keep coming back. Bryan Cranston, the actor best remembered as Walter White in Breaking Bad, didn't set out to give dating advice. He was simply trying to survive the soul-crushing audition circuit in Hollywood. Early in his career he noticed a pattern: the more desperately he wanted a role, the worse he performed, and the less likely he was to get it. The hunger in his eyes, the slight tremor in his voice, the microscopic as they were, betrayed him every time. Casting directors could smell the need coming off him in waves. One day he had an epiphany that changed everything. He realized he had been walking into rooms with the wrong internal story. Instead of thinking, "Please give me this job, I need it," he began telling himself, "I'm here to offer you something extraordinary. Take it or leave it." The shift was instantaneous. His performances became bolder, freer, more alive. He stopped pleading with his body language and started commanding the room. Directors leaned forward. Offers started coming. Years later, in interviews and masterclasses, Cranston explained it plainly: when you enter any high-stakes situation believing you need the other party's approval, you relinquish all power. That subtle desperation leaks out and repels the very people you're trying to attract. But when you flip the script and decide you are the one bringing the gift, something magical happens. You relax into your fullest, most magnetic self. Confidence replaces anxiety, playfulness replaces performance, and suddenly the room wants what you're offering. What Cranston discovered in casting rooms applies even more powerfully to dating. The same principle that books acting jobs also books second dates, and turns those dates into lifelong partnerships. His insight is the antidote to the fatal moment we all fear, the moment we like someone and immediately start trying to win them. Neediness is the silent attraction assassin. It doesn't announce itself with dramatic gestures, it slips in quietly through slightly longer text responses, leaning in a fraction too far, laughing a beat too hard at a mediocre joke, or asking "So, what did you think of our date?" before the check has even arrived. The moment we sense someone could be the one, our brain floods with dopamine and cortisol in equal measure, and that cocktail makes us behave in ways that scream scarcity and dependence. Ironically, the very thing we crave most, intimate partnership, is the one thing no healthy person wants to feel responsible for providing out of pity. We are drawn to partners who enhance our already good lives, not to projects who treat us as their emotional salvation. When someone detects that their presence is being treated as oxygen rather than dessert, the romantic charge evaporates. They feel pressure instead of playfulness, obligation instead of desire. Yet pretending we don't want love at all is just as toxic. It breeds games, aloofness, and eventual resentment. The real challenge is raw honesty about our desire combined with complete detachment from whether this particular person returns it. We are allowed to want love deeply, most of us do, and still walk into every interaction knowing we will survive and thrive even if this person disappears tomorrow. That paradox feels almost impossible on a first or second date when our heart is racing and our mind is projecting future weddings. But unless we solve it, we keep repeating the same pattern. The more we like someone, the more we subtly beg, the faster they pull away, and the more evidence we collect that love always slips through my fingers. Neediness doesn't just reduce attraction in the moment, it trains people to expect less of us over time, until even we start to believe we're not worth the full-hearted pursuit we secretly long for. The moment you decide, "I need them to like me," you've already lost. Bryan Cranston's revolution, and the one that saves countless dates, happens when you flip the internal script entirely. Instead of walking in as a hopeful applicant begging for approval, you stride in as someone carrying a gift. Not a literal gift, but the gift of your company, your energy, your unique perspective, your laughter, your stories, your particular brand of magic. You are no longer auditioning for their life, you are offering them a limited-time opportunity to step into yours. This isn't arrogance. It's radical self-ownership. You remind yourself, "I am the one with something rare to give. I am calm, curious, warm, and fully present because I know my worth doesn't hinge on their verdict tonight. If they see the value in what I'm bringing, wonderful. We'll create something beautiful together. If they don't, that's information about fit, not about my value." That single reframe changes everything about how you sit, how you listen, how you speak, how freely you laugh, how comfortably you hold eye contact, how little you worry about filling every silence. When you truly inhabit this mindset, you stop performing and start sharing. You ask bold questions because you're genuinely interested, not because you're trying to seem deep. You tease because it's fun, not because you're testing whether they'll still like you. You reveal vulnerabilities naturally, in the flow of real conversation, instead of strategically dropping them like bait. You leave generous space for them to shine because their shine doesn't threaten yours. Paradoxically, the moment you stop needing them to want you is the moment they feel safest to want you completely. You're not pretending to be aloof or playing hard-to-get games. You're simply refusing to hand your emotional remote control to a near stranger. You remain open-hearted and warm because that's who you are, but you stay rooted in the quiet certainty that your happiness, your light, your future do not begin or end with their phone lighting up tomorrow. That rootedness is devastatingly attractive. It's the difference between someone leaning forward hungrily and someone sitting back with relaxed, magnetic power. One repels. The other invites the right person to step all the way in. Most people spend their dating lives chasing a fantasy, the idea that if they can just become good enough, funny enough, successful enough, attractive enough, cool enough, then everyone they like will finally like them back. They treat attraction like a popularity contest, frantically collecting votes of approval from as many people as possible. Every date becomes a referendum on their worth. Every unanswered text feels like a public verdict that they're not enough. This mass approval strategy is exhausting, soul-destroying, and most importantly, completely unnecessary. The real goal isn't to be universally desired. It's to find the one person who looks at everything you are and says, "This is exactly what I've been searching for." That's value fit, and it's the only thing that creates lasting, electric relationships. Your particular blend of quirks, passions, humor, values, and energy will feel like home to someone and like background noise to everyone else. The people who don't light up around you aren't rejecting you, they're simply revealing that your particular flavor of magic isn't their flavor. That's not failure, that's efficient filtering. When you internalize this, something profound happens. You stop twisting yourself into pretzels trying to win over someone who was never going to see you clearly. You stop taking lukewarm responses personally. You stop begging for crumbs of attention from people who can't offer you the full banquet you deserve. Instead, every interaction becomes a relaxed exploration. Do you recognize what I'm bringing? Does it excite you the way it excites me? If yes, magic. If no, next. This mindset shift turns rejection into redirection. It transforms the sting of someone pulling away you plus 2014 not because you're lacking, but because they're not your person into quiet gratitude for the time and heartache saved. You walk through the world lighter, more playful, more yourself, because you're no longer performing for an audience that was never meant to give you a standing ovation. You're simply waiting for the one person in the crowd who can't stay seated when you step on stage. That person exists. And they're looking for you, too. Confidence is not a static trait you either have or you don't. It is a living energy that moves from one person to another like electricity jumping across a spark gap. When you walk into a room truly believing you are the one bringing the gift, something almost visible happens. Your shoulders drop half an inch, your voice settles into its natural timbre, your eyes stop darting for approval and start resting calmly on the other person. You smile because something amuses you, not because you're trying to disarm them. That relaxed certainty radiates outward, and the person across from you feels it in their body before their mind can name it. They sit up a little straighter. Their own smile comes more easily. Their answers get longer, warmer, more playful. They start leaning in without realizing it. Why? Because human beings are wired to mirror and amplify the emotional state of the person in front of them. When you broadcast quiet self-possession, you give them permission to feel safe, interesting, and powerful too. Confidence is literally contagious. They catch it from you the same way they'd catch laughter in a room full of happy people. Most of us spend years cataloging reasons we should feel insecure, past rejections, physical flaws, career setbacks, trying to assemble enough proof to justify confidence. We treat it like a merit badge we have to earn. But the secret is that confidence doesn't need justification to work its magic. The mere presence of it is the justification. The way you hold yourself, the unhurried pace of your words, the genuine curiosity in your questions, these things short-circuit doubt in the other person and awaken desire. They think, I don't know everything about this person yet, but I already want more of how they make me feel. That feeling is what turns a pleasant date into an I have to see them again obsession. Confidence doesn't just make you attractive, it makes the other person feel more attractive in your presence. And there is no stronger aphrodisiac than the quiet realization that someone draws the very best version of you to the surface without ever demanding it. In that moment, you become the person they didn't know they were desperately looking for. The dust technique comes from therapists Phil Stutz and Barry Michaels, who originally designed it for anyone about to step into a situation where another person or group holds apparent power. A job interview, a confrontation, a public speech. The visualization is deliberately absurd, which is why it works. Before you walk through the door, you close your eyes for 5 seconds and imagine pouring 2 inches of thick, gray dust over the other person's head. It settles on their shoulders, coats their hair, dims their eyes, muffles their voice. In your mind they become a statue, still present, still human, but no longer a blinding sun you have to strain toward or shrink away from. The light in the room no longer emanates from them, it emanates from you. On a date, this image is pure medicine. Most of us unconsciously treat the person we like as a spotlight that can either illuminate or incinerate us. We monitor their every micro-expression for signs of judgment, approval, or boredom. That constant scanning drains our energy and turns us into performers who forget our own lines. Dusting them changes the physics of the interaction. Suddenly they're just a person sitting across the table, attractive, yes, but not the source of your worth, your mood, or your future. You stop orbiting and start occupying your own center of gravity. You sit back slightly in your chair. Your voice finds its natural volume. You notice the way the candle flickers or the small scar on their hand instead of obsessing over whether they're noticing you enough. You ask questions because you're curious, not because you're mining for reassurance. Silence feels spacious instead of dangerous. When they talk, you actually listen instead of rehearsing your next impressive line. Your warmth becomes genuine because it's no longer a plea, it's an overflow. The paradox is that this tiny mental act, covering someone in imaginary dust, removes the pressure that was smothering attraction in the first place. They feel the shift immediately. The conversation breathes. They relax. They start chasing your light because, for the first time all evening, you're the one shining it. And when the night ends, you walk away knowing one unbreakable truth: whatever happens next, your light never depended on them in the first place. Carrying the "I need them to choose me" mindset into dating doesn't just kill individual connections, over time it grows into something darker. Every rejection, every situationship that fizzles, every happy couple on your feed becomes evidence that love is being handed out to everyone except you. A tiny seed of resentment takes root. At first it's almost imperceptible, just a flash of envy, a sarcastic "good for them" muttered under your breath. But left unattended, that seed sprouts. It becomes bitterness toward people who've done nothing wrong, quiet rage at the universe for withholding what feels like a basic human right, and worst of all, a slow erosion of faith in your own lovability. You start scanning rooms not for connection but for threats: prettier people, funnier people, more successful people who might steal the affection you're already convinced is scarce. You dim your own light to avoid scaring off potential partners, then hate yourself for doing it. Resentment metastasizes into self-sabotage. You pull away first to avoid being left. You test people to see if they'll fight for you. You settle for crumbs because getting nothing would confirm your worst fears. Eventually the forest is so dense you can't even remember what sunlight felt like. The way out is the same reframe that saves every date: radical ownership of your own alchemy. Someone else's relationship is their wallet, not yours. Their chemistry, their timing, their unique fit, it was never something you could have stolen or earned. Celebrating their joy doesn't diminish your chances, it proves the wallet you're meant to find actually exists. When you can look at a couple holding hands and feel genuine happiness instead of a stomach punch, you've broken the spell. You're no longer auditioning for a generic role called someone's partner. You're waiting for the person whose soul recognizes yours on sight and says, "Finally, there you are." That shift doesn't erase loneliness, but it removes the poison. You stay open, curious, warm, and, crucially, unburdened by the belief that love is a limited resource being unfairly distributed. You walk lighter because you know your connection, when it arrives, will be unmistakably yours. Until then, you refuse to let other people's love stories rent space in your peace. You root for them, you keep shining, and you trust that the right set of eyes will spot your light from across any room and come running.